Word Eyes brings you any educational knowledge or information around the globe, current or many years ago, that has historical or significant value. It is your eyes to the world. Was Mata Hari really a spy, or she was just a scapegoat for wartime propaganda? A woman whose life is full of trials and adversities still maintained the dignity and respect upon herself up to the very last thread of her life as she was executed by firing squad for being a double spy. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification as well. Sharing this so others may view it would be much appreciated. Was she really a spy or a double agent at that? This woman is no other than Margareta Sell, better known as Mata Hari, a name she took from the daughter of an Indian temple dancer when she started dancing provocatively in front of her audience to support herself, as getting a job then in 1903 had been difficult for a woman like her. Her stay in Java, Indonesia, during her first marriage had greatly influenced the kind of dancing she would do later in order to survive. Mata Hari was born in the Netherlands to a wealthy family, but her parents' luck would run out during her early teens. Her father's business went bankrupt and her parents divorced. Soon her mother would die. She and her sibling would live with their relatives when her father remarried. At age 16, she would experience another setback in life when she was suspected of having an affair with the headmaster of the kindergarten school she was teaching, that led to her being withdrawn from the school. She married early at the age of 18 after responding to an ad by Dutch soldier Rudolf MacLeod, 39, and lived with him in Java, Indonesia. The marriage would not be a happy one, as MacLeod would physically and verbally abuse her, aside from cheating on her, as well as having kept a mistress that would later get them infected with syphilis. Their children would suffer from congenital syphilis. The boy died at age 2, while the girl later at age 21. They went back to the Netherlands and divorced. Mata Hari moved to Paris when she could not get a job to support her daughter, thus entrusting the young girl to her ex-husband. In Paris, she did any job, taught piano and German lessons, rode horses for circus, posed as model for painters, and even went into prostitution. Then she worked as a dancer in clubs, with her dark eyes and hair not common to Dutch nationals, and her knowledge of the Indonesian cultures. She spun a tale that she was a Hindu, adopted Mata Hari as her stage name, and found success in her new profession as she provocatively striptease, slowly removing layers upon layers of her clothes in front of her admiring audience. Thus she unconsciously introduced a new culture in Paris that made her a sensation all over Europe. To avoid charges of indecency, Mata Hari educated her audience that her performance was sacred temple dances that told tales of lust, passions, and vengeance. Even women got interested with her performance and watched her. With her newfound success, she would be everywhere in Europe and would meet suitors, mostly well-to-do gentlemen and military officers. Unavoidably, she indulged in prostitution, slept with them. However, Mata Hari, for unknown reason, had a soft spot for military officers, like when she first responded to an ad of her ex-military husband. Never did she knew those military people would be her downfall. Close to the outbreak of World War I, where she was nearly 40, her dancing career slowly stagnated as new and young dancers were coming out but the people's interest in her didn't dwindle yet. In Berlin, as she was about to travel to France, the German soldiers confiscated her luggage and money and was forced instead to go back to the Netherlands. A German consul in Amsterdam offered her 20,000 francs to spy against France. Broke, she accepted the money, but not the spy job seriously, as she would later disclose that she considered the money as payment for the confiscation of her luggage. She was assigned a code name, Agent H21. This new development allowed her to travel again in Europe more often, meeting with suitors and paramours, but this time she would be placed under the radar of the British intelligence, who would pass the intel to the French intelligence that she could be a German spy. It was at this point that French intelligence operative Georges Ledoux offered her 1,000,000 francs to spy for France against Germany, hoping to make use of her German contacts or to entrap her equally. They asked her to spy, despite her being well known in Europe and was not even trained on the secrecy of the job. She attracted lots of attention wherever she went. Mata Hari needed to travel to where her new young Russian lover pilot was hospitalized after his plane was shut down. It was an offer she couldn't refuse. She needed the money to see him. Unknown to Mata Hari after some time, the Germans had been getting disappointed with her for having fed them with gossips and nothing of significant military information value. A German major she slept with in Spain sent calculated coded messages to Berlin, referring to her as Agent H21, which was sent intentionally to expose her being a spy. The French intelligence intercepted it as expected, and she was immediately identified as the agent referred to. It was all Ledoux needed against Mata Hari. Upon her arrival in Paris, she was arrested, charged with espionage, and thrown into a rat-infested cell at Saint-Lazare prison. At that time, France had been losing battles with scores of soldiers dying. The new elected administration needed someone to blame for the war mess in France, and they saw Mata Hari as the ultimate scapegoat for the death of the 50,000 French soldiers.
Despite of her service and her patriotism, a case has been falsified against her.
Surprised of the espionage charge thrown at her in court, she hollered, "A courtesan? I admit. I spy? Never." When she was also told she passed secrets to the Germans, she said, "I never considered myself a German agent with a number, because I never did anything for them." Despite her vehement denials, and the evidence against her were circumstantial, mostly manipulated by the prosecutor, and that her defense attorney was never allowed to present witnesses, not even to examine her, it was clear she had been used as a scapegoat, a fall guy. With her loose morale and reputation for having danced naked and slept with men, and that she was a foreigner, not one the French people could trust, they saw her as a perfect traitor. They framed her to give credence to French suspicion of her being a double agent. 3 months after in jail, she was executed by firing squad. She refused being blindfolded, opted facing her executioners, and was said to have released a bit of a smile from her face. She didn't flinch as the soldiers who opened fire. Her face didn't change expressions. An officer drew a revolver, finished her off. She died with her head up, maintaining the dignity she believed she had until her last breath, leaving the generation after her to wonder whether Mata Hari had really been a spy or not. And that's for now for Word Eyes. Stay tuned on my next vlog. And don't forget to subscribe, please. Thank you.